Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks. We're going to have a look at the S&P and the NASDAQ just quickly. So with the S&P here, as you know, we're looking at wave 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, the fourth wave here. The fourth wave is a little bit simplistic, I get that, but then you have a look at wave 2, which was complex. So the guideline of alternation would have this one as simple. The stochastics here, I've got them running pretty fast and they haven't even caught the turn here yet either. These are on 6 rather than the standard sort of 14, so half the speed. So obviously the pattern here that came down is, you know, a bit emotionally sort of scary, and it still looks a little bit sort of small. So I can understand a lot of folks have got this more bearish, and they could be right, but I don't think it should be a game about right or wrong. I think it's a game about looking at the intraday wave counts and looking for setups, be it long or be it short. I mean, we're traders, it doesn't really sort of matter, but we need to stay on point. Now, as a more of a bearish pattern, the move up here so far is on lower volume, so that would give the bears a little bit of opportunity. Now, this volume here would be is increased, so see, when this is coming down through to here, we're getting increasing volume, so that's the trend. And then, like an example which I used last week as well here, is that it can, you know, bars coming down, increasing volume in the direction of the trend, and then in the counter trend we've got the market moving up, but it's moving up on lower volume, and then we're getting increasing volume to the downside. So this particular bar here is on lower volume, so that tells me that's corrective for that day. So that didn't really concern me. It didn't tell me that, even though the price is down, it's just telling me there's no buyers. It wasn't telling me that sellers are in control. If this one here was more volume than this one, then the sellers would be in control. It's a little bit like these ones here. These two bars have moved up here, and they've moved up on lower volume, so there's not a lot of buying going into these. And also the ranges in these too, this range here it is what it is, and this one here is smaller, so it's diminishing. So it's diminishing to the upside. So what it's telling us is, it's telling us that we're going to be coming down here very shortly. So how far we come down, so this is what we'll talk about a little bit, and this is what's, you know, obviously coming from stock as well. So to sum this up here, the move to the upside is not really seeing increasing volume, but we're also not seeing sellers come in either, you know, so it's still a bit of a balanced game. But in the last two bars, we can see the markets moved up. Friday was positive, and we're kind of expecting that, or really sort of wishing and wanting to see that, but it wasn't up a lot, and it was up on lower volume. So what we can expect is the market may or may not move up a little bit, and then it's going to drop and check back to see where the demand is. So where these lows here, they're going to be tested. Now what that's going to do is it's going to leave this with 3 waves to the upside. Now we can view it as an A and a B and a C wave to the upside, and then, you know, come further down, or we could view it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So as I mentioned before, I'm not that interested in shorting into a large number here, the 5,000, so I'm more interested in the long trade. So when this does pull back here, then this will give us a setup. It will leave these tops exposed here, and that's where we can go long from. So let's go in and have a little look at this. So we'll just assume for the moment that this is still wave 4 here, and the indicators are suggesting that, you know, there can be more upside. So on the daily chart here, I don't think it gives us a lot of information, so we'll just go to the 20 K tick here. So last week we were looking at wave 1 and 2 here. So from wave 3, we have the A, B, C here for wave 4, up for 1, back for 2, and now we're looking up for 1 here and back for 2 here. Now we know that the move up here over the last couple of sessions was on lower volume. So the buyers aren't really coming in at that point. So what we're thinking is that it would be natural, what I can see so far is a little higher to come in, and then an ABC correction, which will be pretty sharp and swift, I'd imagine, and then we'll see a push to the upside. Now, at the same time, as I mentioned, this can also be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, just to give a balanced view, and then that will bring in the B wave at that point, or because it's a bit high for a wave 4, and then come down at that point. One of the things that I've been looking for is support on top, talking about the trading levels now. So 5,000 is a major level, then 1, 2, 3 is a top of minor group 1, and that's really significant to develop support there. Now, it's always a little bit of a struggle to get support on that level. We always look for a classic trading levels pattern sitting on that level. So we want this pullback here, and then we'll have an entry over here if that's going to be the case, or we can go over to any of these tops here after we've got the top in place and a pullback. So I just want to talk about that a little bit further. So if we go to the 1,000 ticks and pick it up in this area here, we've got 1 here and 2 here, and then this is the move up that we know that's on sort of lower volume. And I'm thinking that I want to give the worst case scenario. So, well, the worst case scenario is this is not a wave 1 up here, it's a wave C. So I'll just take that out there and bring that up to there. So I'm thinking that we may end up with some sort of little move up here, some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and then an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave. Now, how far that comes back, this is the 50-60%. Technically, it could come back into this space here. But what I'm actually looking for in the following session is I'm looking for, and this will be the same as stocks as well, and the NASI and so on. So that will leave us with this B wave top here to go along on. So basically we want this trend corrected. Now it is possible, I can see that we could also put this here as 1 and 2, 1, 2, yeah, I could put that here as 1 and 2 at this point, but I won't go into that at the moment. So I'll just leave that as it is at the moment. So this is what we need to go through at this point. And coming to the NASDAQ, the same thing without going to the bigger picture. We've got wave 4 here with 1 and 2, and we've got this move here. So in this case here, we've got 1 and 2. You can take a screenshot of this, but 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm thinking that we've got some sort of little wave 5 up here to go, and then the ABC correction. Now how far it comes down, not too sure, but it should be a 5, 3, 5 structure here. And then we'll actually look, even though we can go along above here, we'll look for the 5 waves up here to help us confirm the next direction, and then we can go along at that point here and then build on top of this level here at 18,450, 500 here. That should be on 500. So 5, there we go, that's better. So yeah, so the 500, you know, is 5 is the second strongest number, and it's not support yet. It's trying to get support, but I feel like it's got a little bit of a wiggle to go before we get that. So yeah, because of that lower volume, unless that changes on the Monday, if we see still lower volume, then expect this, well, volume's telling us that we should see a pullback in that point. But this is where, when this occurs, this is where people will start, the smart folks that know what they're doing, they'll start to see that, you know, this pullback here is actually an opportunity and taking out those highs, and then you'll see it move quite quickly from that point. Okay, so over to the stocks. Okay, so the same with the indices. We'll look at wave 4 being in here. There's Apple, and 1 and 2, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, looking for a top here, and wave 1 and wave 2 to pull back. So we're expecting to come back in this good support at 210, so it might push into 2.8 or something like that and push down a little bit. So just be mindful of that, but that's what we're looking at. Of course, once again, this move up here could be corrective because, you know, it can be counted as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here as well. That's possible. Okay, so that's why we need to be really over this side over here, you know. Anyway, it's one step at a time, one wave at a time. So we need to see this top and drop here, and then we'll pick it up. And Amazon, so the same thing again. We've got our sort of wave 4 here with 1 and 2, and I haven't actually counted that there, but I can see that that's corrective in here, so I can see that that's going to push up from that point. So there'll be a little push up here. How far it goes, I'm not sure. So and then an ABC pattern here, you know, really testing any stops that are in there. So just be mindful of that. Yeah, so yeah, so that's okay at that point. And same here as well for Nvidia. I'm going to call the wave 4 low in here. It hasn't pulled back to its wave 4 over here, so that's still a concern. So I won't be putting a trade on here just yet until I've got some more information. Okay, so this could rally a little bit. You know, it could even sort of rally a bit higher up here for this. So I'll just keep an eye on that one. So yeah, it's not my, I mean, obviously it's a leading stock and it should be doing all of its things. Now I like this one here because of where it's at, and this was one of the reasons that I also felt the market was bullish as well, because you know, when you think about it a little bit, if I just go back to the S&P or the NASDAQ here and just go to maybe 20k on that, just bear with me for a second. So when you think about it here, this move here has really got to finish in, if it was going to be bearish. See, on the cash market, on the after market, this was lower here, by the way. So you need to have a bit of a look at that with some of these stocks. See, this one here is quite close to its previous, to this high over here. So this is leading. So in a way, to me, this is not going to finish in three, from this low here, it's not going to finish in 3 waves here. It's got to be more to this. And then it's going to take out the top there. So if it takes out the top of this one here, then for the S&P and the NASDAQ, then it kind of it doesn't solve this problem, but it kind of removes this B wave scenario here a lot. It just takes a lot of pressure off that and makes it bullish. Now, if this is going to be the case, then it's going to make the rest of the world quite bullish as well. Any indices that are tracking this, you know, perhaps the DAX and, you know, and Asian euros and Asian indices and so on. So yeah, so this is kind of a bit of a leading light in amongst everything. Nvidia here, we looked at this being a little impulse wave here, so a very small position sort of being triggered in here. You'll need to leave the stop out of the way here. If we get a first high above the level here, then we'll look for another long trade over here for that, and for it to take out that top there. So it should push up from here. And Alphabet's a little bit slow to get going, but I'll look at it as 1 and 2 here, and you could, you know, this would actually suit better as a corrective pattern. I can see that, but I can see that it should follow the other markets to the upside. We're not going to get a position in this space until the lower end of group 2 has got support. So 165 needs to have support, but in a nutshell, we're looking for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then wave 1 and 2 here, and then pushing up higher here. This is the same for basically all the stocks, you know. So we're looking for, you know, we had this little impulse wave here in the markets, and from that we've built, we're been building, this bullish case from this low that we pegged in here after having 5 waves down. So that's looking good. Microsoft is a little bit better than Google at the moment because it's sitting on top of the 400 here. It's like it was a resistance here, but then pushed up, and this is the battleground here, and the bulls won, and it's got support here, so we can build in longs from here. So we decided to build one on above 105, so that's okay, and we can build another one on 10 here. I think this needs to push up a little bit, sort of higher than the other ones, but yeah, that's it's always hard coming in off the lows. I get it. It's easy to it's easier to think the market's bearish, and yeah, I mean, if the 400, I use the trading level, so if the 400 became the retested resistance, well, then I would be on the bearish side, which would be like this here. If that was the 400, would be looking for short trades under these lows here on the retest. But we're not there. We're not there. We counted 5 waves down here. We counted an impulse wave up here. We waited for the battle. It found support, so we need to look for the long side. And the trading levels are fantastic for being on the right side at the right time. You just need a little bit of patience, but once the penny drops, then your trading will see better results in terms of analysis and trades as well. Because once you understand the trading levels, you understand price a little bit better, and if you understand price a bit better, you know where to put your stops and targets and all of those sorts of things. So Tesla snaking across the 200, and when you think about it, it's really looking for support here, isn't it? So we got triggered in on this little sharp move here above this, so we've just had to hold it through this. But I could configure this in a slightly different way as well. I could look at that as 1, 2. So I'm sort of okay with it, but this is a bit of a high here. I could put this here. I could put wave 2 over here. There's a few little things I could do here. I'll just see how this goes. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 here, so a little pop for 5, and then an ABC pattern here for this. So yeah, we'll just give it a session, and then we'll look for a better setup. I'll just put this over here somewhere. In fact, I'll just remove it. So we'll just give that a session, then we'll find a nice setup in that, and then we come over to Bitcoin. And from Bitcoin, we've got wave forward, the same as the other tech stocks. We probably need to lift this up into this wave, 1 degree higher wave 4 here, because they've got the same turns and all of those sorts of things. So we'll do that. I mean, basically, all these tech stocks we just looked at, they were on the 5th of August, their lows. So this is doing the same thing. So I'm thinking this is 1 and 2 here. I might need to lift that up a degree of structure, and 1, 2 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, ABC for the fourth, all over the weekend, because it trades all over the weekend. And so I'm thinking that we may see, this needs to finish off here, whatever, and go up in here somewhere. Will it go up here higher? Don't know, but somewhere up here, and then have a ABC pattern here that will look a little bit haunting, and then hopefully we push up from that point. So we'll look for long trades over here once we've got this complete. 65 is the medium level here, so we kind of want to see, just want to, the thing is we could view this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here as well. But let's just see how that goes. So we're looking for a move up and then an ABC. Now, most of the other cryptos will be in this particular, the other tokens will be in this particular space, because I think the dominance of Bitcoin is, well, the last time I looked last week, it was 57% over the others. So that tells me, should you own altcoins or should you own, Bitcoin? Well, if Bitcoin dominance is over 50%, then really, from my view, you should own Bitcoin. If it was the other way around, then you'd own altcoins, and you'd find out which altcoins got the dominance in that, because that will hold up on the bullish side better. But at this stage, I think Bitcoin is still the one. Rightio. So that's all of that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.